Now, when September comes, it always feels like a bit of a turning point in the year, doesn't it? It's like a little comma of some sort. Now, the weather starts to change, the kids, they go back to school, and for teachers, it's time to return to work. Excuse me, not so much for Kay Noon, who teaches at Eaglescliffe School. Now, a couple of weeks ago, Kay got a new kidney and is now at home recovering. So a very different year this year for Kay. The donor was her dad, Graham Dennison, and they both join me now, I'm hoping. Hello, both morning to you, Kay. Oh, actually, it's just Kay for the moment.
Hello.
Hello. I was going to say you're enjoying your rest, but of course it's a very different year for you. You're recovering from a transplant. First and foremost, Kay, how are you feeling right now?
Absolutely fantastic. Really, really well compared to how I felt 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Really very well, yeah.
So go on then. Why did you need the op? Take us back.
Well, right back in the beginning when I was a teenager, I was diagnosed with something called polycystic kidney disease, which means that both kidneys, and some people just one kidney, are filled with cysts which gradually make the kidney enlarge, and the cysts can be filled with infection and bacteria and can cause nasty infections.
Okay, well, I mean, before you were diagnosed, though, when did you actually start feeling that something was wrong with you? How old were you?
I had no idea, actually. When I was 13, I had my appendix removed, and it was only then, during a scan, that they discovered the problem. I had no idea before that I was suffering from polycystic kidney disease.
Now, you've been receiving treatment since then while you were working. How have you held down kind of a normal life? I mean, teaching is a full-on career. How have you done it?
Well, it's been great, actually. I got through all my degrees, no problem. I did have to miss some time, but I mean, if you work hard enough, you've got the right attitude, you can certainly work well and succeed in anything. I didn't really see it as an obstacle. My school, Eaglescliffe in Yarm in Stockton, has been absolutely excellent, and any time I've needed some extra support or some time off due to infection or hospital stays, it's not been a problem for them, and it's been really, really great. But I haven't let it, I think it's more to do with your attitude. I haven't let it be an obstacle to my normal life.
Kay, is there ever a time that you actually despaired and thought, I don't know my way forward with this for the moment, or did you always just think, no, I'm going to keep going?
Well, you've got to. There's not a single moment that I thought, pull me, why me, this isn't fair. There are many hundreds and thousands of people who've got much worse things going on than I have. So no, I think, like I say, a positive attitude is really important, and you've got to put yourself and your faith in the doctors and nurses who are excellent. They're the experts. And go on, sorry.
No, you carry on.
Well, and just to say that the doctors and nurses, every hospital I've had experience with, at James Cook, at the Freeman, I just had my transplant, absolutely second to none. So I think if you can put your faith in them, you've got the confidence that you're going to be fine.
Kay, hold on for a few minutes. We're going to be speaking to one of those experts you have just so much effervesced about in a few minutes' time. But now, one of the most precious gifts, as we all know, is life. And particularly if part of your body lets you down, like one of your major organs, you can only hope and pray that someone will step forward at some point and make it right for you again. This has happened to school teacher. She's not gone back to school. She's still busy recovering. Kay, for those that are just tuning in right now, just quickly recap. 2 weeks ago you went through a kidney transplant, that's right?
Yeah, about a week and a half ago, yeah.
Okay, and how did this come about? Just for those that are just freshly tuned in to BBCTs this morning.
Okay, polycystic kidney disease led to infection in my kidney, which had to be removed, and the other kidney couldn't manage on its own, so I needed a spare one.
And, Kay, I mean, how long is it going to be before you're back at work as well as a teacher?
Well, because after having a transplant, the body can reject it, I have to take quite strong immunosuppressant medicine and steroids, which can cause infection, and, your body's more susceptible to infection, so I've got to stay away from the kids for 3-4 months, so it's going to be probably after Christmas before I'm back.
Oh dear, absolutely. Now, you spoke earlier on, just before we took some traffic and travel, about the special people that actually make this all happen. Throughout all of your treatment, you've been keeping a blog, an online diary as such, for the Kidney Research UK website. Peter Story's on the line from the charity. Morning to you, Peter. I hope I've got the right one open. Hello, Peter.
Yes, I'm there. Morning.
Good morning to you. Let's establish the basics first. That we now have kidney. She has kidney, and we know how to keep them healthy to a certain degree. But just describe to everybody exactly what does a kidney do and how important is it?
Well, your kidney is an absolute vital organ, and it really cleans the toxins from your body and keeps your blood healthy. It also has a role in controlling your blood pressure and certain balances in the organ's bloodstream, in the body's bloodstream. And unfortunately, if your kidney goes wrong, unless it's treated, then it's a fatal condition.
So why do some people have problems with their kidneys as opposed to others who, possibly in some way don't treat their bodies quite as well? Is it sometimes a genetic thing, or is it something to do with environment and nutritional factors?
Well, both. And some people have genetic conditions which lead to kidney disease and kidney failure. And there are many different types of kidney disease, such as polycystic kidney disease, which sadly Kay had. But in others, it is a lifestyle factor, and we do know, for example, that diabetes is the biggest single cause of kidney failure, closely followed by high blood pressure. And one of the things that we do a lot of work on is trying to make people aware that if they don't have their blood pressure checked, and if it is high treated, that can lead to serious damage to their kidneys. In fact, we were doing some screening sessions recently, and we had a chap came in who was suffering very badly from kidney disease, and we just got him onto dialysis in time. So it's very important to monitor your blood pressure as well.
And so what exactly is kidney dialysis as well? Many people have heard of it, but what's the process that's actually happening? It looks quite scary with the tubes everywhere.
Yeah,
what's going on?
Yeah, it is scary. It does look scary, I agree. Really, patients, basically, you're hooked up to a machine, and the machine takes the blood out of your body, puts it through a big filter, like an artificial kidney, if you like, and puts it back into your body. And that process takes quite a few hours, and many patients have to do that sometimes 3, sometimes 4 days a week. And I think the important thing to note about patients who are on dialysis is that gradually, as you're coming up to your dialysis session, obviously your body is becoming more and more full of those toxins that I was talking about, and then the machine has to take them away. So clearly you feel okay after your dialysis session, and then gradually, obviously those toxins build up again. You start to feel poorly until you have the dialysis. And the other factor is, of course, that you can't pass urine if you have kidney failure. And kidney patients on average can drink less than a litre of fluid a day.
Right.
And that includes everything. That's gravy on your dinner, it's drinks, it's your tea and coffee.
Is that sort of that thirst, that need for liquid just actually goes though from them as well, because their body on some levels telling them you can't take in that amount of...
Well, I think kidney patients would say not, and I've talked to many who talk about, especially on a hot day, what you do, because you do feel thirsty, and they have to kind of suck on ice cubes and things like that just to keep the water intake at a minimum, but to slake the thirst as much as they can.
12:30. We're talking this morning about probably one of the most precious gifts you can ever give somebody else, and that, of course, is life. It'll become clear in the next few seconds. One of my guests on the line right now is Kay Noon. She's a teacher at Egglescliffe School. Oh, but no, she's not teaching today, despite people having gone back for the fresh new term 2 weeks ago. Kay actually received a new kidney. We'll come back to Kay in a few moments' time. We have Peter Story on the line from Kidney Research, the Kidney Research Charity. Morning to you, Peter, again. Thank you for holding on. Peter, we were just talking about dialysis and describing through the process what the kidney does, then what dialysis actually has to take place in somebody who's been suffering. Are there any other methods of treatment?
There is what's called peritoneal dialysis, which is a bit technical, which is where the peritoneum, which is that kind of sort of muscle in your abdomen, is used as a filter, and that suits some kind of patients and often can be done overnight. There's also, of course, transplantation, and For some patients, that is an option where a kidney can be transplanted from a donor to replace the kidney function in the patient suffering from kidney disease. The problem with transplantation is that there's around 7,000 people at any one time waiting for a kidney transplant. And I don't know if you know, but that's 90% of the people who are on the waiting list for any organ transplant. 90% of people waiting for an organ are waiting for a kidney. And in a year, we can only carry out something like 2,500 transplants, so that you can see the numbers just don't add up.
Sure. Now, Peter, this story is actually very. It's one of the success stories regarding Kay. Kay's back on the line now. Kay, thank you for this. Just tell everybody who and where it is you got your kidney from.
Well, I was one of the very lucky ones who managed to get somebody who is a relative of mine, what they call a live donor, and my kidney actually came from my dad.
Now, before we go to Kay's dad, Graham, very briefly before we lose you, Peter, what else do people need to do in terms of bearing this in mind? Before we go to speak to Graham, just anybody listening right now and thinks, I've always thought of donation, but never actually quite taken that first step, what can people do?
Well, you can join the Organ Donor Register and also talk about your wishes with your family. Make sure that your relatives know that you would like to donate your kidneys after death. And that's the most important thing you can do. You can also find out more by visiting our website at www.kidneyresearchuk.org, and you can find all about kidney disease and ways in which you can help on that website.
Peter, thank you very much for your time this morning. Peter Story there from the charity Kidney Research UK. Graham, morning to you. Thank you for holding on. What does it feel like to have given your daughter one of your kidneys?
Magic. Absolutely magic. It's given her life back. As somebody said, I've given her life twice. Once when she was born, and now she's got a new kidney. She's got a second chance at life.
Both of you, what was it like when you first realised this match could come from your dad? What was that moment of realisation like, Kay?
Well, it was obviously absolutely brilliant to know that my dad would be able to donate his kidney to me. There were 4 people tested, and my dad was the closest. And it really has been brilliant to receive one from him.
Graham, how did it feel that moment you realised you were a match for your daughter?
A worry at the beginning.
Go on, why?
Well, obviously you're helping your daughter, but it's a danger to yourself as well. You've got to think. Well, you don't in a way. I didn't think, but you do think in the back of your mind that there's a risk to the donor as well.
And what are your hopes? I know, Kay, we're talking about you in front of you, sorry. But what are your hopes for Kay's future now?
That she gets at least 45 years out of that kidney. Apparently the early kidneys, which weren't cross-matched, apparently somebody's managed to live 45 years on one of the non-cross-matched kidneys back from the 60s. So if she can live that long on that kidney before she needs another one, great.
Kay, you're not going to go back for seconds. What do you want to say to your dad?
Oh, well, I've said everything, really, but I am really, really grateful to him for what he's done, and he's been a very brave man.
And how are you feeling now, Graham?
All cut up.
And Kay's on the mend. Thank you, both of you. Would love to hear how you both do as well.
Thank you.
Kay Noon and her dad, Graham, she 2 weeks ago received one of his kidneys. If you'd like any more information on that, of course, you can contact us here at BBC Tees, or go on to actually the UK Kidney Research website, and they'll tell you further details on how, if you are thinking about being a donor, they've never quite got there, I'm sure all the information will be there for you. Right now you're listening to BBC Tees